Well, in that theme of Banana Republic, I wanted to talk about Elliott Abrams a little bit.
Okay.
And I don't know if everyone knows who, you guys probably do, but I don't know if our audience of the other, two people who watch this podcast know who Elliott Abrams is. But he was just appointed the U.S. Special Representative for Iran. And that's not, to Iran, it's for Iran. So it's basically the guy who's supposed to be taking care of Iran, right? Taken care of, in quotes. And his previous position was the U.S. Special Representative for, guess which country? Venezuela.
Oh, I was wondering. Okay, yeah.
And, by the way, didn't they try to do a coup in Venezuela recently?
Sure they did.
Well, Elliott Abrams is our coup expert.
Yeah.
And so I guess whatever, I don't know what he has in mind for Iran, but
wasn't he also the ambassador or something for Venezuela when this whole thing went down?
no, he was a special representative for Venezuela.
Oh, special representative, yeah.
Yeah. Now he obviously got its start in the Reagan administration. And by the way, I think it's interesting that Trump, who ran on a platform of disengaging from foreign entanglements, and recently has been talking about withdrawing troops from Germany and Afghanistan, would appoint the ultimate neoconservative into his cabinet. So that's just like, to me, like, okay, I think Trump doesn't really know. He doesn't know the history. He doesn't really know what he's doing, which makes him tolerable, I think, to the neocon establishment, because they can get their people in there. If it's not John Bolton, it's going to be Elliott Abrams, right?
Or Pompeo's bad enough himself,
Pompeo's bad enough himself. Yeah. But Elliott Abrams, I mean, he's famous for the Iran-Contra affair, and what happened back then, this was in the 80s under Reagan, is that the Reagan administration was supporting these right-wing governments or right-wing forces fighting against left-wing governments in Central America. So in El Salvador, Guatemala, and Nicaragua. And I think it was the mid-'80s, the Congress passed this Boland Amendment, or early '80s, passed this Boland Amendment, which said we can't provide aid to the Contras who were fighting against the Nicaraguan Sandinista government. And then they amended the law to say, well, you could give aid, but it couldn't be used for weapons. So what they did, the Reagan administration, is under Elliott Abrams, is they went around, and Oliver North, they went around Congress, and basically they got money. They set up secret bank accounts, and they got the Sultan of Brunei to donate money, and they sent money to these Contras fighting the Sandinistas in Central America, and they just, I mean, they committed massacres. They were just horrible track record. And Elliott Abrams lied about this, and he was actually convicted. He was charged with several felonies for withholding information from Congress. Ended up getting just a couple of misdemeanor convictions. And guess what he had to pay a personal fine, though. Guess how much it was?
$1,500.
$50.
$50.
So like you get more if you double, if you park in the wrong spot.
$50 in today's money, or
well, I just say, like, I remember you probably get a parking ticket in Cambridge would probably be about the same amount. But yeah, he got.
If I don't pick up the poop that my dog does outside, it's actually a higher fine than that. So
that's right.
But anyways, he was pardoned by George H.W. Bush when George H.W. Bush took office. So,
one big club,
right? So now he's back, and he's and I just want to read a quote. I'm going to put a quote up here. Okay, in 2019, he said that the fabulous achievement was that El Salvador has been a democracy, and in a 1998 interview, he said, while it's important for us to promote the cause of human rights in Central America, it was more important to prevent a communist takeover in El Salvador. So basically, the end justifies the means. So I think the real threat that these people see is not so much the threat to human rights or democracy. It's the threat of socialism and taking their wealth away from this powerful elite. I mean, that pretty much lays it bare right there.
Yeah.
And this is the guy that Trump just appointed the special representative for Iran. And I don't think he's really interested in negotiating with Iran or bringing democracy to Iran. I think it's all about, bringing the Shah back or getting some kind of, U.S. friendly, corporate friendly government in Iran. But I mean, it just boggles my mind that Trump, on the one hand, he wants to kind of withdraw from this intervention around the world, and on the other hand, he appoints these people who are like the ultimate neocons.
It's funny too, because it seems like I would think he would so easily win if he outlefted the left, right? If he did it on war, and also, I mean, he's been doing okay in other things. Like he signed the executive order for drug importation from Canada, and I thought he was just considering like permanently suspending interest on student loans. He just came up with something. So yeah, it feels to be like, but who knows what the power moves are going on as far as the military industrial complex. Maybe he just gets pushed around.
I think he gets pushed around,
right? He
but
just doesn't have a choice.
He is starting to push. He's starting to realize that if he pushes the populist buttons again, maybe he can get reelected, because apparently now Biden has dropped to a 3% lead nationally, and Trump is saying, "Well, I'll find a way to write another round of checks." Even though, I mean, he's not a dictator. You can't just like write checks, but he's basically saying, if I can do it within my power, I'm going to send out another round of stimulus checks.
And Trump is a known entity. People don't know about Biden. Like I guess maybe my brother mostly gets his, hope he's not watching. He probably won't be. Nobody else is. Maybe he mostly gets his news from CNN, and he knew about the recent Biden gaffe regarding Latinos, our very diverse community, African Americans not so much, but he didn't know about the one calling the black interviewer a junkie. He hadn't seen that one. So it was like, you almost think there's okay, we're going to show you this one so you don't see that one.
Come on, man. Did you get tested for cocaine?
Oh. And the biggest tell is how he gets angry if he's asked, if you dare ask him anything, question him on anything. It feels just like Hillary, like I of course I should be coronated.
How dare you?
Crazy.
Right. So, but sticking with
all right, reel it back
Elliott
in.
Abrams, okay.
Yeah.
So like a couple things. So what you were saying, Steve, about him pulling out troops from Germany and from Afghanistan. Obviously, we know the debacle with Afghanistan, how the Congress pretty much worked against him to be able to do that. But the thing with Germany was he pulled those troops out because, remember, the whole thing is that NATO, all these countries, they haven't been paying their fair share. That is something that he actually did run on, so this is seen as something that he is fulfilling a campaign promise, right? Because supposedly the troops are supposed to be there to protect them from Russia, but remember, because of Nord Stream 2, which is the deal between Germany and Russia, the pipeline, well then, and remember that Trump was very much against that, and he was like totally trying to break the deal between them. And because it still went through, I feel like this was actually kind of a retaliation towards something like that, because how Trump is a tit for tat type of person. He's very transactional, And then the other thing was that, so you were saying that he keeps hiring all these people to his cabinet, which he doesn't. Again, this highlights what the danger of having someone who doesn't know anything about politics being in this position, and especially in the highest position of the land, right? Where you are going to have a cabinet that is going to dictate, pretty much everything for the whole world, essentially, because everything that happens, in the U.S., pretty much it trickles down to the rest of the world. But these people, that they are known warmongers, war criminals, literally convicted war criminal in Elliott Abrams, but that doesn't matter to him, but because you always have that faction of his support that this is 3D chess, guys, you know? And then when something goes wrong, it's not his fault. He had no idea. It's Elliott Abrams. It's Elliott Abrams' fault. You know, so it's almost like he always has some sort of fall guy, right? Because ultimately the military industrial complex isn't going to let him do anything. So you know that whatever little things he does, that he does actually get to push through, it's what is acceptable to the military industrial complex and doesn't threaten them, right? I feel like we see that constantly with everything. But you saw how immediately once the whole, once he started talking about pulling troops out of Afghanistan, which he needs these things. These are like promises that he needs to fulfill in order to be able to be reelected, because
Right.
he understands that his ass is on the line. Like this election is a referendum against Trump, essentially. You know what I'm saying? And he knows that. And so, you know, he's gonna try whatever he can, but ultimately the military industrial complex isn't gonna let him do anything.